What is happening, crew? My name is Brent. Welcome back to the channel. I am here to talk to you guys today about the why. Why are people into blockchain and cryptocurrencies? Why is there always that person at a party? There's like 15 people and like one person is just, somebody always brings up Bitcoin or something, what motivates, people like my dad and I to make a channel about this? What are we talking about? Who cares? Why? Why would I leave a mate job on a motor yacht working in South Florida to go and study this? That is what I want to talk to you guys about today. I want to do a quick one. I'm going to try to do this in 10 minutes. I drew out and wrote out everything that I want to explain to you here about the thought that pops into my head when I hear about any cryptocurrency, or I think about blockchain, or I think about the future of technology and how it can work for people. This is what pops into my brain. And I realize how small I wrote it here, but I am definitely going to grab the camera here in a second and we will walk through all of this together. I got this idea and this drawing archetype from a book that I read while I was working on said yacht in Florida. I read The Real Business of Blockchain. I wish I had the cover with me, but I read this so much and I put this in my backpack so much that the cover of it tore off. And as you can see, there's like coffee stains and like I set it down on something that stained it. And to me, that is the sign of a great book. And kudos to you, David and Christophe. This is a great book. The drawings and the explanations of blockchain in this book it is like tattooed into my brain now. So that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. That's what I drew up here on the board. Let's get after it. Let's just get right after it, shall we? Okay, getting after it. Okay, for all of you who would like some extracurricular, I'm going to post a link to this in the description below. The authors of the book and their company did an article online on their site that is called The 4 Phases of the Gartner Blockchain Spectrum. And it is such a fascinating illustration and drawing and their explanations of where blockchain is going in the future, how it's going to interact with the internet, and everything that you could speculate on around all of that. It's just so simply put and beautifully done. Check it out. What pops into my brain, guys? Blockchain. Why I care about all this stuff. The 5 elements that they describe in the book is encryption, immutability, tokenization, distribution, and decentralization. These things are essentially the elements that are written into the rule book and the philosophy and principles that blockchains are created by, and what blockchain as a tool or a system can do for the inline user. That's why I love this stuff. I love it because when you start to break down all 5 phases of what's going on, you get a better idea of where the future of technology is going. And technology in this sense, hopefully that helps mankind, helps people all over the world, whether you're living in a high rise or you're living in a village in Africa. All right, crew, let's go around the circle and let's talk about how each of these works together. And we're just going to go in a circle here. And one that you're going to hear about, when you hear the term blockchain, you're going to hear distributed ledger a lot. This distribution of basically all these dots represent all of us, or even more specifically, our computers. From the most advanced supercomputer in the world to your little laptop sitting on your desk. So any of those that have downloaded a full copy of any of the blockchains out there, we've all heard of a bunch of them, but you download a copy of that specific blockchain, and your computer is used in the network to validate transactions, validate the accuracy of what is going on. We want to make sure that each transaction, and looking at blockchain as a whole here, that our computers can go back and look at the history and validate that the new transactions are accurate, that someone isn't trying to double spend or cheat or take something that isn't theirs. That is all recorded, and what we'll get into later is immutable, so it cannot be changed or altered. Okay, so I love this because this gets right into decentralization. That is the one I feel like everybody hears about all the time. Basically, it's this drawing. So centralization versus decentralization, you've got a centralized corporation here. Let's call it a corporation or a bank or a government or some giant server where you send your data, you send your information, you put your fiat currency in there. And this centralized entity decides the rules and if those rules are going to change, and they basically have the power. You're kind of at their mercy. We also call these third parties or intermediaries. How they decide to do business affects all of us. And so we give them our data, we give them our money, whatever, and that gets basically redistributed out how they see fit. Well, the future of this and what is happening with blockchain and cryptocurrencies is making our economies and our systems and everything a little more decentralized versus centralized. And I think there will always be a balance of that. I like the example of Theta, the Theta network, where, you know, with other streaming services and networks, you're gonna be, let's say I'm here in California and I'm requesting a video from some company in New York. Well, it's very inefficient to send that video and that data all the way across to me in California. But what's so neat about peer-to-peer technology and what Theta is doing is essentially if you are in the same area and your device has that data stored, you can access that video from someone closer to you. Efficiency. And so that's what I love about decentralization, distribution. Phase one of decentralization is you write these rules and governments. These things are built into the blockchain when it is first created. Or a different way of saying that is the rule book is coded into the blockchain. That's how I think about it. Second part of that is you have a network. You have many people who have downloaded the blockchain, and now the full blockchain is running on their computer, so they're able to run nodes. You You and your computer now are considered a node. And the built-in consensus mechanism, or basically the agreed upon transactions and blocks that are secured, are validated and confirmed by the entire network, trying to make sure that we get to this block we've all agreed on to 51% or more that it is accurate. All of this together right here, getting to number 3, you want to make sure that no third party can dictate the rules. The rules are already written into the blockchain, and that is what we want to roll with. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Tokenization, guys. Okay, let's get the microphone fur out of there. Okay, let's just jump right into it. Okay, tokenization. I'm gonna quote my boy Captain Ron here. It's like an incentive kind of a deal. You know, why do people do things? We do things because we want to do them, because we feel like we're obligated to do them, or because we're being incentivized. And any of those things and all of those things make up the part of this technology that to me it's just so human, and there's so much functionality with it. Dad and I did a video. It's called Incentives and Tokenization, and we really got going, and we talked about, you know, like a I think a plumber was our example, and what I drew here is, like, you know, my dad Alan and me, and we're exchanging goods and services with each other, and basically, you know, creating essentially a payment system, an incentive system, to give you a reason to actually be on the network. Why do you want to contribute to the network? Why do you want to contribute to the world? You know, what if I'm going to be doing this work or giving my energy or power over to something, you know, am I going to get something back, you know? And I love this. I put it in the center, is your attention. I think the future, and I brought up earlier about theta, I think the future of our viewership, you know, of watching television or film or anything like sports, like I think we're going to be incentivized for our attention. They will be competing for your... I totally sound like my father right now. They're going to be competing for your attention. You are going to be getting paid in Theta Fuel or whichever token you are a part of a network with, or whichever network you're investing in. Types of tokens, guys. We've seen tokens that are going into like money. We've seen security type tokens, utility tokens, like layer 2s, and identity. And obviously there's much more. These I just went off the top of my head. Uses for the tokens. Let's go through them. Smart contracts. I think that's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Loyalty and rewards points, currencies, tickets, memberships, coupons, NFTs, digital signatures, staking and airdrops, asset swaps, ownership and rights, data storage, communication, transactions, so much more. That was just off the top of my head. There are so many uses and ways that we all incentivize each other in this world to do things, and that is such a integral part of what's built into the blockchain and how that works, you know, and how a complete blockchain would function properly. We want people to care about it. We want people to download a full copy of the blockchain. We want people to be encouraged to share with each other and contribute to the group and be a node. We want to keep it safe and secure. We want to make sure that our voice is not silenced, that our data isn't kept from us. And on top of it, then you're going to get rewarded and paid for using it. And so together, you can go to any one of these ideas and you can start to look and see how they all interact and work with each other, and why it's such a fascinating type of technology, because it's going to affect so many things coming up here in the future of our lives, and how we trade and how we transact with one another, and why people do things, why we want, or we're obligated, or how we want to be incentivized, and what decisions we make that move us into hopefully a more positive future. I think blockchain is going to be a huge part of that. And so yeah, tokenization, it's going to be huge. Immutability is so important, guys. When a block is put on the chain and it's added, there are digital signatures, they are time stamped, they are added sequentially, and this is to try to prevent changes or corruption. And the blockchain is so good at that, so horribly near impossible to hack. And when thinking about immutability, I just think about I want my data and my energy to be safe, and to not, I don't want some third party to come and change some rule and do something, and now I'm out my money, or I'm out my data, or I can't access the deed to my house, or the pink slip to my car, or whatever else. I want to be able to get those things. I want to be able to know that those things are on the blockchain and they are immutable. To make changes in those things, just thought I'd mention forks, and those changes on the blockchain require the participants to agree. It's kind of part of that 51% rule, where if there's a transaction that happens on a block that only gets, so many people are like, oh, hey, that one's good, but the rest of the community is like, no, that's a bad transaction. Then it's a bad transaction, and that block is replaced with the correct transaction amounts. Last but certainly not least is encryption. Public and private keys. Definitely check that out. If you are investing in cryptocurrencies and you are working on exchanges, or we're about to see the adoption of these products and systems in banks, and potentially being used in government coins, please look into public and private keys. It is so important to protect your private keys and to understand how to transact with public ones. Encryption and decryption, it's the name of the game. Inputs and outputs, name of the game. So, when I am the guy talking about Bitcoin at the party, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about the price of it. I'm not thinking about how I'm gonna get more of it or what I have to do. It's this. It's how can I help contribute to people understanding this kind of a system, and what is it good for? What does blockchain do great? It can't do everything. What does it do great? It is great at storing and the security of your data. It is great so far at creating sound money. It is good with trade. It is good with keeping track of records. It is good at creating incentives for people. And why is that important? I think the big picture is creating a network of all of us globally working together. And I feel like from the bottom up, you know, the people who are putting in the work, the people that are doing things not just for themselves, but for the people around them. Whatever you're doing, whatever decisions you're making, creating a network of people to where we can all benefit. The inline user is getting rewarded. The inline user has skin in the game. They have stake. And that, to me, is what I think of. That is what's tattooed in here, and what I'm so excited to share about when I'm talking on this channel about cryptos and about blockchain in the future. You guys will have an idea of where I'm coming from. I did not grow up a tech geek. I am trying to read books and trying to go to school to try to learn how it all really works. Everything that I gave you here today is a very simple explanation. Very simple. Just trying to get you thinking about how it works. The why. Why do we care about this technology? Why is it being adopted so quickly? Why are we starting to see it show up in our culture, in our media, in our businesses, the way we're doing things? I just wanted to give a good brief explanation of what I think is important, the why, and I hope you guys got something out of it. Appreciate you. I love you. I hope all of you have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. All right. Catch you on the next one. I'm out.